Dr. Jorge, you're the expert here. You know, when it comes to acid reflux, there are certain foods that are almost universally accepted as problematic and give almost everybody a problem with acid reflux, right?
Yeah.
I've got beaucoup acid reflux sitting right. I can't even lift this acid reflux.
That's a lot of food.
Wow, yes.
So let's go through some of these lists. And chocolate.
Chocolate. I mean, you got to remember that any food that's fatty is going to open up the sphincter between the esophagus and the stomach, and it's just a natural gate opener, so it's going to make you more likely for the acid to come up.
Okay. Going down the list, so sodas, beer. I mean, there's no way you can drink that without belching some of that up. I mean, all of us universally have that fried food, the donuts, the fried shrimp, the spring roll.
Ooh,
and again, the cheese. All of these foods can be bad for you, but they can also be okay if you eat them in moderation. All right, so a lot of what has to do with this is how much you eat. If you overeat, it expands your stomach, you're going to get heartburn. So you don't have to deprive yourself of everything. You know, you just have
don't
to...
eat too much.
Don't eat too much. Exactly.
And for some people, there are going to be certain triggers amongst that food group that are particular worrisome for you. And you have to listen to your body. If every single time you drink coffee, you get heartburn, it's probably time to put coffee to the side for a while.
Decrease.
Because a lot of people will just be stubborn. Well, you know what? I'm never going to give up fried chicken.
And Dr.
But then they're going to suffer the consequences.
Start the morning with that cup of coffee. They're on the run. They're not eating anything. They're skipping breakfast, which we've talked about all the time that you shouldn't do. Well, that's going to give you acid reflux first thing in the morning. And just remember, way to start the morning.
Correct. Every time you have something in your stomach, the food is going to act as a natural buffer. So it will help things a little bit at first. So definitely not an empty stomach.
And reflux, to me, is one of those hints your body is trying to tell you about yourself, and that's what today's show is about. Hints your body is trying to tell you about your health. That's what we're covering. Our first question comes to us from Lara in Los Angeles, California.
Hi, doctors. I tend to get hunger pains and sometimes heartburn after I eat a meal. And even if I've just eaten something, I still feel hungry. And I tend to get really tired also. Is my body trying to tell me something? Thanks.
Let's talk about these dreaded hunger pangs, pains, unsettled feeling.
Well, I mean, first of all, it could tell you that you're hungry. First, but if it comes back all the time, hunger pains could be one of the symptoms of an ulcer. So on an empty stomach, the acid is going to come and just gnaw at that. And some people feel pain, some people feel nausea, some people just feel an empty hunger feeling. So when you eat, like I said, that food neutralizes it, and it's going to feel better temporarily. An hour or two later, you make a lot of acid, and it starts feeling worse. The thing is that if a symptom continues day after day, week after week, it's probably something abnormal. So we're going to gross you out a little bit, and I'm going to show you a cow's stomach. It grossed me out.
That
it looks like a towel, doesn't it? It smells like formaldehyde.
You're letting out some silent
don't want to mistake that.
It's a little bit. No, this is a cow stomach, which is huge compared to a person's stomach. But the interesting thing is all these little ridges and linings, that's where you make acid from all the time. All those little crevices, that's where you digest food. All these little crevices, that's where acid can build up. The same thing in the human stomach. Here we go. I think we should have it on camera. You have all these folds. All of them make acid. And this is what an ulcer looks like. It's a divot. You can have it over here. You can have it in many different parts of the stomach. What's most common is to have it in this little area called the duodenum. So you have a live, open sore. You eat something, that's not going to be affected by the acid, and you're going to feel good, no nausea, no hunger pains temporarily. All right?
That can lead to obesity.
Absolutely it can. I mean, when you have signs of a really prolonged or advanced ulcer, you have weight loss. And especially if, unfortunately, you have cancer in the stomach, which ulcers can lead to, that's weight loss. But sometimes weight gain is your way of treating an ulcer.
And the real concern with ulcers is, if not properly treated, that ulcer can erode all the way through the stomach wall into your abdomen, create a life-threatening infection, or you know, as we see in alcoholics or other people with illnesses, it can erode into a blood vessel and cause life-threatening bleeding. That's why if you hit the nail on the head. If you're having these hunger pangs every time after you've eaten and then an hour later, you need to get that checked out because that's not just you being hungry.
That's more.
Your
Something
body
else.
telling you something about your health.
So some of the treatments are antacid pills that stop the acid production. And imagine the stomach is like an arm. You don't use the arm when it's broken. So what an antacid pill does is it stops the acid production, right, for a month or so, and it heals by itself. If you get a flare-up, you can take good things like liquid antacids, you know, so very simple things. But non-steroidals really make things worse.
In summary, the treatment of ulcers has come light years. I mean, back in medical school, when I went to medical school, a lot of these latest generation antacids didn't even exist.
Correct. We've gone through.
They were doing surgery for ulcers and things like that, doing these cutting vagotomies and all.
The vagus nerve, there's a nerve that causes the stomach to make acid, and we used to cut that for people to heal. Now, that surgery is almost unheard of. So you put people on medications that just stop acid production, and a surgery is unheard of.
Dr. Jorge.
Hey, my pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Good job.
Thanks for being with us this morning.
Today.